right, so on these, I mean, keep in mind this is an excellent resource for me when I'm writing a test. This is every multiple choice question they've ever asked on this topic. I try to make you guys tests like representative of the AP test, so I'm not going to just put the exact question, but the concepts are definitely going to be the ones. I'm going to look at this when I'm making the test for sure. So what can I go over? What can I clear up? Questions I can answer? Yeah. Number 2. Did you see that it says which of the following is not? Okay, well, I didn't see it. Neither did Maya. So. The actual answer is something we haven't really talked about yet, so I wouldn't worry too much about this one. But if I think it's like 20 feet from here to Mr. Kraft's room, this is what I want you to understand, would it be better for me to have one person measure it or like 5 people and take the median of those? I would want 5 and take the median of those because then if one person screws up, it won't really affect things too much. But if I just have one person and they do it wrong, then I'm kind of stuck. But if I get 5 people and someone does it wrong, that won't really affect the median because I'm just going to take the one in the middle. So that's what I'm... No. B is a statistical justification, so that's a good reason. Yeah, remember in giant capital letters when you just made fun of me for not seeing that? So C talks about the variability of the estimate, and I don't care about that's how spread out the people's estimates are, and that's not what I want to know how far it is from me to Mr. Kraft's room. I don't care how spread out they are. So that C is not justification. Did you see the word not in giant letters? What else? Again, I wouldn't worry too much about that. We haven't talked about variability very much. I don't even know if we have all of them. What other ones on there? Remember the answers are on there? So like a graphing one or just a regular? Is this okay?
Yeah.
Just one or 2?
2.
What else? What else? They were okay? I don't believe you. Okay. Alright. So we got a short lesson, and we'll look at a little more of that packet. We'll see. Question. What are you asking? What are you asking?
It's not really a good question.
What are you asking about? You know the answers are on Schoology, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So why are you asking mine?
I just wanted to see if my answer to
C.
he does.
Was the right answer?
Yes.
Was she there yesterday?
Here?
Or was the
I
woman in
didn't
the
go
gym?
to the gym yesterday.
She's playing various.
No, she probably was.
You didn't even care enough to go check.
I'm not doing
Why'd you ask?
I'm gonna stay out at the gym. It's a 24-hour gym.
You're gonna just be in the gym all day. And all
Uniform is like this. Normal.
It's a 24-hour gym.
Well, it's like
It'd be kind of weird.
Alright, so these are, let's start on the side with the Old Faithful eruptions. These are relative, cumulative frequency graphs. And the way you read these is the stuff on the side represents the percent of data at or below the given number. So it's a cumulative function, you are accumulating data as you go. And by the time you get to the end of your data, like your biggest point, if I just went up from, so my biggest point in this one is over here. Oh, wait a second. People are still writing it. Represents percent of data at or below the given number. If you're trying to read sideways, that's what it says. So, if I go to the very end, so in this case it looks like the end is like 5.5. And I go all the way up. I'm going to write on the board because I can erase, rewrite things. So at 5.5, if I go up and read across, I land on 1. What that tells me is 100% of my data, 100% of the eruptions were 5.5 minutes or less. And so when you go to the endpoint, it's always going to go all the way up to 100 because 100% of your data is lower than the endpoint. You need to know how to read this two ways. So starting from the minutes or starting from the percent. So if I said what percent of the data is below, at or below 4 minutes. Or that could be phrased as what percentile is 4 minutes. I'll go up. Is that straight up and down? Ish. It's probably, there's supposed to be that dot, is my guess. And I read across, you know, which way is it? It's tilted up?
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah.
So, what does that represent then? What percent of the data is at or below 4? 50%, so isn't that the median? So that's one way you have to know how to read it, is going like from the bottom to the side. So if I said another one, what percent of the data is below 3? What percent of the eruptions are 3 minutes or lower? You go to 3, read across. That's terrible. Up, you know, that's really tilted up. It's probably like 35%-ish. Ignoring my lines, does it make sense what I'm trying to explain? Approximately what percent of the eruptions are 2 minutes or less? What would that be? 20%-ish, right? So 2 is like here, and maybe it's somewhere close to that. Does that make sense how to read it in that direction? Yeah.
Are all of these going to be like approximate, so it's one answer if you are just like a little off the one?
Yeah, like I can't hold you, you know, if it's technically, like if I think it's 37%, you put 36, I can't be like, you don't know what you're doing, obviously. I mean, so there is some, it's all going to be approximate, there's wiggle room. Unless there's a grid, on some of them there's a grid, and then you can read it like perfectly, you know. But yeah. All right. So going the other way, I could ask it the other way. So what percent of where is the 80th percentile? Let's say. So then you'd go to point 8, read across, and then read down. So I would say like what 80% of the eruptions are X minutes or less. So you go across and go down, and that would be, you know, like 4.5-ish. Does that make sense? So we can actually find like the IQR, the median, all that stuff too. So Q1 would be where on this line over here? Like what percentile is Q1? Q1 means what percent of the data is below you? 25. So Q1 would be right there. 0.5 would be the median. Q3 would be 0.75, right? So if I asked you to find those, you could do that. I think I do in the questions below. I'm just kind of giving an overview, and then I'll go through the questions. Does that make sense as like a general explanation? Questions on anything I just talked about? So let's do the problems then, because I'm just kind of rambling up there, I suppose. So estimate the following. You know, it says estimate, right? So you got some wiggle room. The median. So I'm going to go to 0.5. Try to draw a relatively horizontal line across. When I run into the graph, I go down. So I get about 4 for the median. Agree? Q1. So now I'm going so the median's 50%, right? Q1's 25%, Q3's 75%. So Q1's 25-ish, so a little bit above that 0.2. And then down, so I'm going to say that's like 2.2. And yeah, if you put 2.1 or 2.3 or probably even 2, I'm going to have a hard time arguing with you, you know. So as long as you're in the ballpark. Q3, 75%, so go up here. Read across, I think it's probably supposed to land on that dot there. And then read down, so now I'm at like 4.5, 4.6 range. So yeah, these are all estimates. I should be putting like that little squiggly thing. And then you can do your IQR, right? If you have your Q3 and your Q1, you can figure out your IQR. So when I subtract my Q3 and Q1, I get 2.3. But if your Q1 and Q3 were a little different than mine, your IQR might be a little different than mine too, you know. And if I asked you to find if there's outliers, we could do that now. If I asked you to make a box plot, we can't do like exactly, but we can be pretty close. I mean, so I can get this really similar information from this. Try the rest of it. The very last question says, what does the circled point tell us? I didn't circle the point yet. Let's circle that point. This is the last new topic in this unit. So we're doing review, practice tests, etc. Your test is looking like Tuesday. Yeah, that's probably gonna be Monday, but I don't like tests on Mondays. Here's my answers. You can check them as you're going. Need help? Let me know. like 2.25. Yeah.
It goes from 0.2 to 0.4, so
Yeah.
it's in the middle. It's going to be 30 something.
Sometimes, Maya, you explain things to me like you think I'm 5 years old. I understand that. I just made a mistake. Calm down. Does that matter? He said between 20 and 40 is 30. Thanks. And that last one, what does the circle point tell us? So make sure you include context in that. It's one of those, like, you're writing stuff out, you want to always refer back to the context of the question. Yeah. I circled it, but I didn't show it very long. That one. I should have circled it before I made the copies, would have been ideal. Maya was about to say that, so I was just going to say it for her. If you're done with this, and you're good, go to the back. Do the whole back. If you got a question on the front, I'll leave it here for a second. Just let me know. Find your way. Oh, is like this in your way? I can't really move that. I can move my person in my head. Let me circle a point here, because the bottom question again is, what is the circled point? Let's say this guy here. So circle that point. I'm going to move that off the screen in a second. It's like the third one from the right. This is an old graph. I don't know. Was Trump older than 70 at the inauguration? I don't know. add to it as a momentum. And then when you're done with that, I mean, we'll check them, obviously, but get your packet out, because there's a couple of good ones in there on this topic. What? You would alter the data. The Frappy packet. More like, did you just get here, or were you like at an appointment or something? Just got here. So here's the answers to that one. Some of these you're really rounding. I mean, there's definitely some wiggle room. If you got something different than me on one, let me know. Yes, for sure. Yes.
61.
I had 52. What are you?
I just met it.
No, I get it. Are we good? How many feel alright about these?
Wait, how did you get the 51 and 61?
So Q1 is 25%, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna double check mine. So I was like, okay, that's 30. That's 25. So
Okay.
somewhere like that is 51. I mean, if you put 50, I'm okay. You know what I mean? But
Okay.
there's certainly a margin of error. Does that help? Can we do 75 too? Or you
Yeah, no, I got it.
good? Okay. Any other questions? Yeah, so I'd probably say like, I mean, plus or minus 1 for sure. Probably plus or minus 2 in some cases, depending on how many are within my number, within one of my numbers. Sorry, I did my like 2 away on any of them. 2 on some. For Q3, you said 58. Yeah, I think that's fine. I think I'd say probably within 2. If you're within 2, you're good. They might think they're good within 3.
I thought for 52, the second to last one.
Yeah.
I thought it was 31.
And for like the 100% I said, you said,
Yeah, and that's fine too.
you said 7.
Okay. Make sure you have context on this last one. That'll be something easy to forget there. Any questions on how to read them or what we're doing? All right, in your packet, 2006B, problem 1, please. While you do that, I'm going to sign you some con. Yay! 2006B, problem 1. Oh wait, I gave you guys Confus. I already did that. Like when I was absent those days, I had you guys do cons. This was like a little more basic than we are doing now. Okay. Yeah. Right. Alright, so you got some con to your test gonna be Tuesday. Con do Monday night before the test. Yeah. So what percent of yeah, that's a little tricky. C is tricky, I think, yeah. So just big picture notes back here. Your cons due, no, Monday. Test is Tuesday. I'll give you some time in class, yeah. Not like 3 days worth, but here and there I'll give you some time. First, second, third, and maybe fourth? I'm not sure. Yeah, how many? Regina, if you're junior, we got like 4 or 5 juniors in here. Well, you're a sophomore. But you take
Everyone takes
seniors too?
No, not seniors, but we're every senior.
Oh yeah, when is that?
Oh, you guys won't be here that day?
So we won't be.
For what day? Because we take our class for them.
Oh, okay.
Wait, when is this?
So nobody will be here.
Yeah, no one will be.
When?
Yeah, Wednesday.
Week today. Well, you gotta hear something.
Wednesday.
You'll take the, so you take the PSA test.
So do I have to come to school? They're giving us food. I have food at my house. I can-
But mean, unless you want to be in the class both.
I literally do not see breakfast.
I have food at my house, she said.
Better food.
I live with this way now. I fear just to eat a bagel.
Just eat a bagel.
Yeah, it's not really free anymore if you have to drive 25 minutes.
They have donuts in them.
Yeah, but it's like
Gone
usually
when you get there. And you,
Figure out.
it's gonna be like they're gonna hand donuts and they're gonna be
No, not sure.
I've laughed at that because I won't be here to know that, oh, donuts.
You just
Me
get
too. I
donuts
mean,
yourself.
I hate
and
Tom.
all
Oh my
that,
God.
and it's not gonna be gone.
I can't.
There's
so many of us.
Wait.
But
10
10
goes
like
down.
you can't have 10.
It's a million.
Okay. 'Cause I was like,
Well, but the rest are like 300, 400, 500, so I didn't want to switch to like a million. Like,
okay, because I saw 10 and then I got to thousands. I was like,
yeah, it's weird.
So we can go to the house and cake or something. I don't know. Oh, yeah.
Because I did not get a show here at 7:30 a.m.
No, not all day.
Are you guys done?
Yeah. Because you would get to leave after they're done. Then we go to more classes. Right, so you just go and do it.
So we're good to go through it? Okay. So, first, like, what's the circle point? I don't even know that you need the word approximately right here. It's not going to hurt, because that's pretty much right on, you know, but 40% of the monthly sales volume, so we make sure to include context, are $300,000 or less. Good there? Means you look confused, Jared. Okay. Are you alright? No, I'm good. Gotcha. Okay. What percent sold between 700,000 and 800,000? So 700,000 is 70%, 800,000 is 80%, so it'd be 10%. Part C is the confusing one, I think. So they're saying, what does it mean that it's flat here? So you got this piece here that doesn't move. So think about it this way: if I said what percent of agents sold 10,000, which is a million, 10,000 or less, what would you say? Thanks. You would say 90%, right? If I said what percent of agents sold 11,000 or less, what would you say? You'd still say 90. So what percent of agents sold between 10 and 11,000? None. Nobody. There's nobody in this window. So like if I were making a histogram, this would be an empty spot. Because you got 80 or 90% are here or lower, and 90% are here or lower. So there was nothing there to like bump up to the next thing. Nobody sold that amount. Does that help?
So, like, the answer we would just say because nobody sold 10 and 11.
Yeah, so no agents sold between 10 and 11,000. Or you could probably just put 10 and 11, but I would put the 100,000 if I remembered it. Does that make sense? And then a bonus is to be given to the top 20%. So the top 20% means what percent are going to be below you? 80. So I'm going up to the 80. Reading down, and so that's like 800,000. You okay?
Yeah, I just said boom.
Oh, you said boom.
Yeah.
Well, so that's a good thing.
Yes. Oh.
Doesn't sound
I didn't know what she said. Were you booing me?
No.
Do you want to fight?
No. I can go home after.
I'm trying to whoop your ass. I want you to do 1997, problem 1. But I just want you to just do part A and B.
I've been honest with them.
1997, problem 1, A and B. Before you guys were born.
the sister was born yet. It was a year after one of my sisters, the year before.
I was a senior in college. Mr. Porter was like 60.
He's been 60 so much.
Yeah, what is his actual age?
He looks like the exact same as when I
I
started
think
teaching
we
here 20 years ago.
calculated it.
I don't know.
I looked at his photos, they all look the same.
Yeah,
I can.
I feel like I calculated.
he just looked 60 when he was 40, and he still looks 60.
He looks 60.
Okay, I think we told the math. It was like something.
Looks 60.
It was something.
He's like 60.
I really hope he's alive.
All right, let's get back to the Frappy here.
Because she'll somehow move the sheet into the house.
On the actual AP test, you get like a booklet to write in. So you'd have like, I kind of don't have much space here to work, but you have tons of space in the AP test. Don't worry about that. Warlock, are you picking up what we're putting down here? And there's definite wiggle room on this one too. Interesting point. I never thought about that. What is the date? Oh, it says projected. If you read it.
I just put the graph answer.
Who reads the question? Seriously. Why would that ever help? I mean, it didn't really matter, I guess. So again, you got some wiggle room, especially in the IQR. Like, if you're 1 off or 2 off on Q3 and then 1 or 2 off in the other direction on Q1, you could end up being 3 or 4 off from the IQR.
When you get it wrong.
Because those errors kind of compounds, and then not errors, but approximations. So that's okay. As long as I can look at your work and say, like, okay, I understand they did the process right. You just might have a wiggly line or something. That's okay. You okay, Beans? You okay? You're sick.
Yeah, I don't know. I got sick like 2 weeks ago, and I just like can't get rid of this. Can't get rid of my face.
I'm trying to get rid of my head for like 2 weeks.
I feel bad when I get sick because I'm actually going to work and nobody else. Still.
gym if you're sick. Everyone with cancer.
She hasn't been there.
She probably went yesterday. You didn't even care enough to go check on her.
I was just like, lazy. I'm very happy. My goals are deep. I'm just kidding. People listen to
Golden D for what?
What do you think of that?
Yeah, there's a test today.
That was yesterday. Well,
Oh.
the past 2 days, my goal is C minus. Pass? Yeah, that's why it's my goal.
There's D's in AP classes.
These are
Yeah.
There's D's in every class now, isn't there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they're not pass. On my A.
D's get degrees.
D stands.
D stands for
That's hard.
There is a D in grades, so.
Are you guys getting something similar here?
Yeah.
Any questions on how to do it, or I'm 4 away from you. Am I still okay? Anything? I mean, I could be 3 off. You know, it's just estimates.
I got 26.
26 for what? For this one?
Yeah.
That's fine.
I said 25. I said 25.
Okay.
Our 2000 is exactly the same, but our 1990 is
Mine is 5.
Yeah, that's how for me and mine, our 2000 is exactly the same, and then for 1990, I got 23, I got 22.5.
You're 4 off in 1900?
Yeah, and I'm like the exact same on 2000.
My 2000 is 5 off. Because I said
4 off seems
Right?
like a lot. What do you have?
For A, for 1900, I got 19, and for B, I got 33.
For the most.
I'm gonna just
19, I might mark it off.
I should be 35 for
For this one? That's the thing. Like, if you do your line like that compared to that, I mean, that's like a 5 difference. You know?
Yeah, that's because I got.
That's why it's tough to
Because I used 35.
All right, you guys are good. Yeah. Good question.
No, I love this because I hate species. And then also, everyone's like, they taste the same.
Keep in mind, you got some con. So the next. No, hold on. Come back. Come back. I didn't dismiss you yet. I did, but pretend I didn't. Yeah, don't go anywhere. I'm lying. The next 3 days, so Thursday, Friday, Monday, will be, or Thursday and Friday. We got to do more of those multiple choice packet problems. And I don't want to give you time for your cock, so it'll be like those 2 days. Monday, I'll give you a practice test. It's all board. I'm just making sure you know. And then Tuesday,
Thanks.
and Wednesday is the PSAT, so I won't see any of you, I guess, right?
PSAT.
What? A week today. But you guys don't take it. You're
Yeah,
doing
but I
something.
don't have to.
Oh.
I don't see you.
So you probably don't have to come to. I don't know what you do.